Hi there, welcome to this lecture series on matrix algebra. This is lecture 22, part 1, and this will be the second lecture on the topic of eigenvalues and eigenvectors. Let's get started. First, we'll talk about change of coordinate systems. And before that, let's do a quick recall of the concept of basis for a coordinate system. Let's say we have a set of vector v1, v2 to vn, and we say that this set of vector is a basis for a vector space if the following is hold. So the vectors v1, v2 and vn, they are linearly independent, and the span of this vector cover the space v. So the space v is the vector space. And when this happens, then if you pick any vector in the vector space, let's call it vector boldface v, and then this means that every vector v in the space can be written in a unique way as a linear combination of the bases. So specifically, v can be written as y1 v1 plus y2 v2 all the way plus yn vn, where these y's are just numbers. So this is called a linear combination of the v's. Now in this case, these coefficients y1, y2 and yn, they are the coefficients of the linear combination, and then they can be regarded as the coordinate of this vector v with respect to the basis of that set v1, v2 to vn. So here is an image we have seen before, a system of coordinating R2. Let's say we have two vectors v1, v2 linearly independent. Here is v1 and here is v2. So basically we have a direction that's decided by v1 and a different direction decided by v2. And then we can for any vector in this R2 space, we can express it as a linear combination of v1 and v2, and then we have a system of coordinates. Let's say 1, 1, what would that be? Well, that would be 1 unit in v1 and then 1 unit in v2, and this would be the point with coordinate 1, 1. And what about 2, 0? Well, that will be you take 2 unit in the v1 direction and 0 unit for the v2 direction. So then this one would be 2, 0 would be the coordinate of that point, and so on and so forth. So we're interested in what happens if we change the coordinate. Okay, so let's set up this discussion. So if I have a vector v which has coordinate y1 to yn with respect to the basis v1 to vn, what does it mean? This basically means that the vector here v is a linear combination of those bases. So y1 v1 plus y2 v2 to yn times vn. And then in the original Cartesian coordinate, this v vector can be recovered as the following. So let's x be the coordinate in this Cartesian coordinate. Then this vector would be this matrix here, which consists of all the column vectors are the basis, v1, v2, vn. So that's a square matrix. So this matrix times this coordinate y here will give us the coordinate in the Cartesian coordinate. Now let's call this matrix P, which is a square matrix, and then we have the relation. If we call this vector x and this vector y, they are coordinate, they look like a vector, they take the form as a column vector. Okay, so then you will have x equal P times y, and if the vi's are bases, then they are linearly independent, then the p is invertible, and then you would have y would be p inverse times x. So let's take an example to show what we mean. In the example that we have seen, we have v1 and the v2, which is 3, 1 for v1 and 1, 2 for v2. And they are linearly independent, so they can form a basis of R2, as in this picture. So now let's consider a vector v, which has coordinate x1, x2, with respect to the standard Cartesian basis. This just perpendicular x1 here and vertical x2. And then now let y1, y2 be the coordinate in this new basis with v1 and v2. And then let's set this P matrix to be the column vector to be v1 and v2. So I take v1, I take v2, and I form this matrix P. And then we have the following. The x would equal to P times y, and then the y is P inverse times x. Okay, so more specifically, let's put in the P matrix here. So x1, x2 is the vector of x, would be this matrix times y1, y2. And then take the inverse, you have y1, y2 equal to P inverse, so you can work out the inverse of this matrix, which is here, times the vector x1, x2. Now we are interested in looking at a linear map in different coordinates. Let's consider a linear transformation. We call it f from Rn to Rn, assuming that in the standard coordinate we can write it as f of x equal to ax. So you will transform, the transformation transforms x into, we call it x prime. So we can write like this, the x prime here. Now that's just a different number, it doesn't mean it's a derivative. Okay, this xi prime is a times the x1, x2, xn. So this is the form of the transformation with the standard coordinate. So the next question will be what happens if we use a different system of coordinate? So in x1 and x2, the normal basis, and we have this transformation f takes a point v and transform it to another point v prime. And now let's take a different system. Let's call the new basis will be v1 and v2 as it's shown here. So how does this transformation look like in that new coordinate system? Okay, so let's call y1 to yn be the new coordinate with respect to a new set of bases v1, v2, vn. And then we have the following. We know that x equals py, and then y equals p inverse times x, where p is this matrix formed by collecting the basis as its column vectors. So this we just derived earlier. Okay, so now we know that we have a linear transformation which takes x and multiply by a and transform into x prime. So we want to understand what happens in the new basis using the v's. Okay, so what do we have for y prime? Well, y prime, using this relation here, it would be p inverse times x prime. And then what is x prime? Well, which is just ax, so I get p inverse ax. And then finally, I want to express this x in terms of y because I want a relationship from y to y prime, right? So the x here is equal to py, so I put that in. Now you see I write up this relation between y prime and y here. The x is disappeared because I figured out the expression to relate to the x, and then the x is not involved anymore. So we see that this transformation x prime equal ax, if you change a coordinate, and then in the new coordinate the linear transformation takes the form y prime is this whole thing here is a matrix n by n. 3 of them multiply with each other, and it's also an n by n matrix in the end, times y. Okay, so among all possible bases we could use to rewrite our linear transformation, and what will be the best choice? Well, so the goal here would be, given a matrix A, what we want to find would be a matrix P, which is invertible, so it's non-singular, such that the new transformation y prime, which is this matrix here times y, we want that matrix here to be as simple as possible, and then we'll come to a definition of what we mean by as simple. It shall be properly defined. Okay, so we make a claim first. Okay, so if we choose the P matrix to be a collection of V vectors, V1, V2, and Vn, if it is invertible and the columns of this matrix here, V1, V2, Vn, shall be eigenvectors of A, then this product, which would be the new matrix for the transformation in the new coordinate, will become, we call it D. So D equal to P inverse times A times P here. This becomes a diagonal matrix. So diagonal matrix in a way is as simple as possible because it has bunches and bunches of zeros, and the only non-zero element are the ones along the diagonal, and that's very few with respect to the total number of entrants. Now let's take an example to see what it means, what we are claiming. Okay, so we'll take, for example, the vector space of R2, and we have an A matrix here. It's just a general A matrix here. Then the claim, if you translate it into this special case of R2, is the following. If V1, V2 are two linearly independent eigenvectors of the A matrix, then we can choose the P matrix to be V1, V2, two eigenvectors, line them up, and then we will obtain a diagonal matrix. So P inverse times A times P will be diagonal, and it will have lambda 1 and lambda 2 on the diagonal and 0 everywhere else, where lambda 1, lambda 2 are exactly the corresponding eigenvalues of A. So lambda 1 will correspond to V1 and lambda 2 will correspond to V2. Now let's work out the details and to see if this claim holds for this case. So we need the eigenvalues and the eigenvectors of A. So in step 1, let's work that out. We first form the characteristic polynomial by computing the determinant of A minus lambda I, that is subtracting lambda on the diagonal. And if you work out this determinant, which is this times this minus this times this, and you open it up and you get this second degree polynomial. And then you can use your favorite method to find the roots for this, either by factorizing it if you see it, or by the formula, the quadratic formula, and which you will find that one eigenvalue is 1 and the other is 8. And now we need to find the eigenvectors. Eigenvectors are found to be the solution of the system A minus lambda Ix equals 0. So open this up, we get this matrix times x equals 0. Okay, so take the first eigenvalue, lambda 1 is 1. We can find solve this equation. So 5 minus 1 is 4, 3 minus 1 is 3, so we get that, and we find that there's one solution that's non-zero, v1, which is 1, negative 2. And then do the same thing for lambda equals 8, the second eigenvalue. Then 5 minus 8 is negative 3, 4 minus 8 is negative 4, and we get this system. Okay, so again, and the first vector here and the second vector, they are scalar multiples of each other. So you just basically take out one of this equation and find a non-zero solution, which we can have 2 and 3. So that's the first eigenvector, and that's the second. Now we can use those two vectors to form the matrix P, v1, v2. Put in the numbers, it looks like that. And let's check if the product P inverse times A times P is diagonal. So we need to work out the inverse and then work out this product, which we all know how to do. We've learned all these already. Okay, so if you work out the inverse of P, you will get this matrix, the inverse of that. And then you put the 3 matrix here, and you want to do this product. You can first multiply this with that. It's a 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, and you get this 2 by 2 matrix. And then you do this matrix times that one and multiply by 1 over 7. And the numbers are a bit big, but if you keep the computation correct, then you will get this. So you see that it's a diagonal matrix with the 1 and the 8. And then recall that lambda 1 is 1 and lambda 2 is 8. So this is exactly lambda 1 and lambda 2 on the diagonal. Okay, so in this case, and for one basis in R2, for this specific case, we have verified that the claim is correct. Okay, so we will stop now for this part of the video, and then for the second half we'll go into a proof of that one, of that theorem. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you later.